the meaning it has is because I had a triad of altars that were very active in a lot of rituals, and the triad was Isis, Osiris, and Horus. And Isis was the part that drew down the moon, and Osiris performed the rituals, and Horus was what was born of performing those rituals.
Just in the literally 3 minutes we got left, for 3 or 4 minutes, I know it's difficult, but I want people to understand the nature of what's going on to so many people today. What sort of things were done to you as part of your traumatization as a child and later?
I was electroshocked to the extent that, my parents were told when I was in first grade that my IQ was 70 and that I was retarded, and they said I would be retarded. I always had trouble in school when I was in school because I missed so much school. My school records are missing. They've just disappeared. I have medical records that are missing. My birth certificate appears to have been tampered with. I have had my eyelids taped open, and so I couldn't shut my eyes. I have been electroshocked. I've been put into a narcoleptic sleep and had earphones placed over my ears and had messages repeated and repeated for days. I've had drugs injected into my body so that my nerves were just like on fire, and then they would just touch me. I've had, since I wasn't allowed to have marks on my body, they couldn't use a cattle prod on me, but they do use cattle prods on people in torturing them, and they do use electrical stimulation to the genitals and also on the teeth. And they like to inject between the toes and under the fingernails and up in the gums. I've also had some kind of scarring done up through the roof of my mouth all the way up to the brain stem back here that gives me a photographic memory. And I have calcium blocks around the pineal gland that seem to be perfectly spaced and even, and it's very, very curious. The doctors can't seem to come up with a reason for that. I have been programmed to be anorexic, to be bulimic. For the government programming, since I was also used by the government in this country, I was programmed to cut my arms if I started to remember, which I was punished for by the Illuminati, as I was not to have these marks upon myself. I was made to eat my own feces as a little child. I was made to drink my own urine. I was not allowed to go to the bathroom. I was placed in a sensory deprivation tank. I had my shoulders, my knees, my toes, and my fingers, my elbows dislocated and then put back into place when they wanted me to be traumatized. I've repeatedly had phone calls of tones coming over my phone, and tones that you can't make by pressing telephone buttons, tones that sound like sonar sounds from a submarine, tones that sound like they were made by some type of instrument. And I have had directed energy used on me, ELF, low-frequency electric waves used on me, microwave energy, and this in turn has created two different, would hear one tone in one ear, one tone in different tone in the other ear. It creates a third tone. They're called tritones. They change the electrical activity of your brain waves and to put you in the state they want you in. I have been programmed to run through red light, thinking it's green. There's been a lot of programming done around my children. They've used my children against me. And it's a very painful subject with me to know that this is happening to my children. The same thing that's happened to me. It's hard. It's easier. I don't don't know if I can make people understand this. It's easier for me to have, okay, I can handle that I went through this. And what I want most is to expose these people because of what they're doing to children all over. But they're doing it to my children too. And my daughter believes I've abandoned her. My son believes I abandoned him. And they don't have hope when they're children. They don't have hope when their mother's taken away from them and they're told that their mother just left them. So this is a cycle that goes on with thousands and thousands of survivors, not just myself. And this is how they perpetuate it if there is a parent that's protective that believes and has found out this is happening.
The astonishing revelations of Arizona Wilder, a very, very brave lady who's chosen to stand up and be counted. And only by enough people doing that is this nonsense and this manipulation going to be brought to an end, as it is in the next few years. Well, we've come to the end of our little tour of the centre of global control, and we're here now outside the Houses of Parliament in London, the so-called mother of parliaments, because of course it has provided the blueprint for so many other so-called democracies all around the world. When in fact it's just another vehicle for the one-party state that is relentlessly turning out legislation advancing this global centralization agenda. Not a place of democracy at all, a place for legislating the agenda into reality. Well, you've heard the information and possibly read it in The Biggest Secret at greater length also. The question is, what are we going to do about it? That's entirely up to you as an individual and me as an individual. As someone once said, what you think of me is none of my business, and it's not. This is just information, make of it what you will. But what we make of it and what we decide to do in the light of this knowledge will decide the kind of world that we and our children are going to live in the next few years and beyond. The Chinese have a word that means at the same time both danger, crisis and opportunity. And that's the situation we're in now. Yes, there's a crisis. Yes, there's a danger of this global fascist state becoming reality, but it's also an opportunity to wake up and make the change that will turn this planet from a prison into the paradise it once was and the paradise it will become again. And that is about choice. Choosing what we do as a result of what we know.